Theory third, language determines or shapes our perception of nature. Proponents of the theory, Wolf Sapir and others are of the view that one's knowledge of vocabulary or scientific influence one's perception and understanding of nature. In other graces of the theory, we will raise a number of objections to to the theory. This will be under the headings of first, perceptions, interest, and need determine vocabulary. 2. Color and snow vocabulary. 3. Hope, time, and China's counterfactuals. 4. Lack of vocabulary does not indicate lack of concept. 5. Knowledge overrides literal word meanings. And 6. Multilingual view of nature. Perception, interest, and need determine vocabulary. Regarding interest and need as the prime motivators for the acquisition of vocabulary, we find that American children, like children in many other countries, are enchanted by dinosaurs. They can often name 20 or more. It is not the case, however, that they perceive the types of dinosaurs because their language, color, and snow vocabulary. Color words, some languages have only a small number of color words, no words. They are dramatic vocabulary difference from language to language. The previously called Eskimos. Hopi, time, and Chinese counterfactuals. Hopi people and time Native American people fancied him that their language forced them to see the world in completely different way from speaker of European language. Nah, jadi kekurangan teori ini itu yang pertama orang tuli yang tidak dapat berbahasa dan dapat berpikir. Yang kedua, multilingual adalah pribadi utuh. Nah, orang tuli yang tidak dapat berbahasa dapat berpikir. Ada banyak anak tunarungu yang baru mulai menguasai bahasa pada usia sangat terlambat. Nah, seringkali setelah usia 3 tahun ketika mereka mulai bersekolah di sekolah luar biasa, ini biasanya adalah anak-anak yang memiliki gangguan peregangan bawahan lebih dari 90 desibel dan tidak dapat menerima ucapan dari orang tuanya dan tidak mengetahui bahasa isyarat. Nah, multilingual adalah pribadi yang utuh, dan itu orang multibahasa yang punya lebih dari suatu proses berpikir atau satu untuk setiap bahasa. Nah, orang tersebut tidak akan dapat berpikir secara koheren atau akan memiliki kecerdasan atau kepribadian pemikiran yang berbeda. Gagasan panduan yang berbeda akan terlibat dalam bahasa yang berbeda. Nah, teori ketiga ini bahasa yang menentukan atau yang membentuk persepsi kita tentang alam. Nah, ada Wolf, Sapir, dan Krosky dan lain-lain yang berpandangan bahwa pengetahuan seseorang tentang kosakata atau sintakasis mempengaruhi persepsi dan pemahaman seseorang tentang alam. Pada kekurangan teori, kami akan mengajukan sejumlah keberatan terhadap teori tersebut. Judul-judulnya adalah persepsi, minat, dan kebutuhan menentukan kosakata. Dan kedua, kosakata, warna, dan salju. Ketiga, waktu, kopi, dan kontak faktual Cina. Dan 4, kurangnya kosakata tidak menentukan kurangnya konsep. Yang kelima, pengetahuan yang mengesampingkan makna kata literal. Dan kadang pandangan multibahasa tentang bahasa alam. Persepsi, minat, dan kebutuhan menentukan kosakata, dan mengenai minat dan kebutuhan sebagai motivator utama dalam perolehan kosakata. Kami menentukan bahwa anak-anak Amerika seperti anak-anak di banyak negara lain terpesona oleh dinosaurus. Mereka seringkali dapat menyebutkan 25 atau lebih. Namun mereka tidak memahami jenis-jenis dinosaurus karena bahasanya. Dan ada kosakata warna dan salju. Karena berwarna, beberapa bahasa hanya memiliki sedikit kata berwarna kata salju. Ada perbedaan kosakata yang dramatis dari suatu bahasa ke bahasa lainnya. Dan orang-orang Hopi dan waktu penduduk asli Amerika meyakinkan bahwa bahasa mereka memaksa mereka untuk melihat dunia dengan cara yang sama sekali berbeda dari penutur bahasa-bahasa Eropa. Okay, I think enough. I give a moderator. Okay, a relationship at the heart of psycholinguistics. The relationship of language, talk, and culture is a topic that is central to psycholinguistics, and people throughout the age have wondered whether speech of language is necessary for thought. The arrest of the Sunday school teacher. In 1920, Robert Meyer was arrested in Nebraska for violating a state law that prohibited teaching any foreign language apart from English to children under 13. He taught Bible stories in German to a 10-year-old boy preaching in the 1990s Simon Age. This law, enforced in 22 states, particularly target languages like German due to anti-German sentiments after World War I. The belief was that teaching such language would impart core values. Can we distinguish a safe from a harmful second language? In the present case, the question is clear. If teaching a second language to children is antithetical to the morals and values of the society in which they live, then clearly children should not be taught a second language. Perhaps taught a second language could be taught if that language is a good language, does not conflict with the first language, but if so, how are we to decide which are the good language and which are the bad one? Jadi pikiran dan budaya. Jadi sebuah hubungan itu psikolinguistik, hubungan bahasa, pemikiran, dan budaya merupakan topik yang penting dalam psikolinguistik. Nah, orang-orang dari segala zaman bertanya-tanya apakah ucapan atau bahasa yang diperlukan untuk berpikir itu. Nah, ada penangkapan guru sekolah minggu. Nah, pada tahun 1920 itu ada Robert Meyer ditangkap di Nebraska karena melanggar undang-undang negara bagian yang melarang pengajaran bahasa asing apapun. Nah, selain bahasa Inggris kepada anak-anak di bawah 13 tahun, ia mengajarkan cerita-cerita tentang Alkitab dan bahasa Jerman kepada seorang anak lelaki yang berusia 10 tahun yang melanggar undang-undang Sipan tahun 1919. Nah, undang-undang ini diberlakukan di 22 negara bagian yang khususnya bahasa-bahasa yang ditargetkan sebagai bahasa Jerman karena sentimen atau anti Jerman setelah Perang Dunia Pertama. Nah, ada keyakinan bahwa mengajarkan bahasa-bahasa tersebut akan menanamkan nilai-nilai korupsi. Nah, misalkan kita membedakan bahasa kedua yang aman dan berbahaya. Nah, dalam penjelasan ini kita mengajarkan bahasa kedua kepada anak-anak bertentangan dengan moral dan nilai-nilai masyarakat di mana mereka tinggal. Maka jelaslah bahwa anak-anak tidak boleh diajarkan bahasa kedua. Namun mungkin bahasa kedua bisa diajarkan apabila bahasa tersebut merupakan bahasa yang baik dan tidak bertentangan dengan bahasa pertama. Namun jika demikian, bagaimana kita menentukan pada bahasa yang baik dan mana yang buruk? Okay, 4 theories regarding the depends of talk and culture on language. Theory first, speech is essential for talk. We must learn how to speak aloud, otherwise we cannot develop thinking. Jadi teori pertama ini pidato penting untuk berpikir. Kita harus belajar berbicara dengan lantang. Jika tidak, kita tidak dapat mengembangkan pemikiran kita. Nah, next theory Theory 2. Language is essential for talk. We must learn language, how to produce or understand speech. Otherwise, we cannot developing thinking. Theory 2. Bahasa penting itu berpikir. Nah, kita harus belajar bahasa bagaimana kita menghasilkan atau memahami ucapan. Jika tidak, kita tidak dapat mengembangkan pemikiran kita. Okay, theory 3. Language determines or shapes our perception of nature. The learning of language will determine or influence the way we perceive the physical world, visual, auditorily. Oke, teori 3 ini bahasa yang menentukan atau yang membentuk persepsi kita tentang alam. Nah, pembelajaran bahasa akan menentukan atau mempengaruhi cara kita memandang dunia fisik, visual, dan pendengaran, dan lain-lain. Okay, the last theory, language determines or shapes our worldview. The learning of language will determine or influence the way we understand our culture and the world. Jadi teori yang keempat ini bahasa yang menentukan atau yang membentuk pandangan dunia kita. Pembelajaran bahasa akan menentukan atau mempengaruhi cara kita memahami budaya dan dunia. Okay, next. Proponents of theory. Now, talk is kind of behavior that originates from speech production. Typically, such theory are held by behaviorists who wish to get rid of mind and mentalism in psychology, linguistics, and philosophy, and to replace the notation of talk or connection with something this is physically observable or potentially observable. Nah, jadi pendukung teori tersebut itu adalah pikiran yang sejenis perilaku yang berasal dari produksi ucapan. Nah, biasanya teori-teori seperti ini dianut oleh para behavioris yang ingin menyingkirkan pikiran dan mentalium dalam psikologi, linguistik, dan filsafat, dan mengganti gagasan pemikiran tentang kognisi dengan sesuatu yang dapat diamati secara fisik atau berpotensi dapat diamati. Okay, next, telling a lie. Neither would telling a lie be possible if talk is kind of speech the diamati. Okay, next, telling a lie. Neither would telling a lie be possible if talk is kind of speech. The very essence of a lie is saying one thing while thinking something quite different. Jadi kognisi dengan sesuatu yang berpotensi dapat diamati. Nah, kekurangan teori ini kita ingin mengajukan keberatan sehubungan dengan kecukupan teori ini kadang-kadang mengingat sifat abstrak dan materi pembelajaran tidak berwujud, dan tidak semua keberatan dapat diharapkan bersifat definitif. Dan tujuan utama ini bagaimanapun juga adalah untuk memberikan sejumlah keberatan yang gabungannya menimbulkan keraguan yang masuk akal tentang teori yang dipermasalahkan. Okay. First, meaning and talk occur without behavior. Behavior of the body is essential for talk. In this theory of the origin of talk, Skinner suggested that behavioral response could be the basis talk in addition to speech utterance. Such behavioral response could be muscular or glandular in nature. It seems that Skinner was influenced by the work of some behaviorists. PCX0002 colleagues who were his contemporaries around the 1950. Theory 2. Language is essential for talk. Proponents of the theory. Theories such as Sapir-Whorf and Vygotsky hold that the language system with its rules of vocabulary is necessary for talk. This theory is broader than the prior theory, which held the talk was derived from speech, language, mind, and brain production. since it encompasses all of language, both speech production and speech understanding. Yeah, in a duexis of theory, we have two objectives to raise regarding this theory. They are first, the deaf persons without language can think. Two, multilinguals are whole persons. Okay, deaf person without language can think. There are many deaf children who do not begin to acquire language until quite late age, often after 3 years, when they begin to attend special school. They are typically children who have a cognition hearing loss of over 90 decibels and are unable to receive speech, and whose present do not know sign language. Multilinguals are persons. Multilingual persons have more than one thought process or one for each language. Such person would be not able to think currently or would have separate thought intelligence or personalities. Different goldie ideas would be involved with the different language. Theory 3, language determines or shapes our perception of nature. Proponents of the theory, Worth Sapir and others, are of the view that one's knowledge of vocabulary or syntax influence one's perception or an understanding of nature. In a duacious of the theory, we will raise a number of objections to the theory.
The Chinese language and counterfactual, reminiscent of the Wolf claim for Hopi and its later debunking by Kipper and Malotki, is the claim by Bloom, 1981, about Chinese. After a superficial analysis of Chinese, Bloom claimed that Chinese were not as able as English speakers to think hypothetically about what is not true, to think factually, because of certain grammatical features of the Chinese language. Number vocabulary in the Amazon. Interestingly, two studies on Amazonian language were published in 2004, both of which concern with speakers' numerical understanding. Pika et al. Investigate the Munduruku language, while Gordon investigated the Piraha language. Both of these languages have a rather small set of number words. Munduruku has words only up to the number 5, while Piraha has only words of 1, 2, and many more than 2. Lack of vocabulary does not indicate lack of concept. Many theorists do not realize that a lack of vocabulary does not imply of the lack of concept. Thus we find an educator like Tadao Suzuki saying that we recognize the fragments of the universe as object of properties only through words. Without word, we could not even distinguish dogs from cats. Knowledge overrides literal word meanings. The fact of the matter is that we can believe something quite different from what the language literally specified, and the continual use of language form may not change an underlying thought. We know that the sun does not rise or set no matter how many times we hear people say it or we say it ourselves. English speakers have simply stuck with the original coining, even though it came to be known that it was the earth and not the sun that was doing the moving. Multilingual view of nature. The multilingual world have as many different perceptual systems of the physical world as he or she has language. If it if it is true that different languages have distinctive and important effect on the way we view nature, then the multilingual must similarly have distinctive and important ways of viewing nature. Conclusion: there is no foundation to the claim that vocabulary affects our view of nature. In fact, the evidence shows the reverse of to be true. One would think that on such an important issue, the proponent of the theory will offer sound evidence in support of their view. The fact is that Sapir-Whorf and the other offer little beyond mere assertion in favor of their claim. Theory 4. Language determines or shapes our cultural world of view. Proponent of the theory, some theorists believe that even if language is somewhat distinct from talk, nevertheless knowing language will itself condition and influence one's cultural, social belief or view of the world. Inadequacy of the theory. If these theories are correct, we will expect to find differences and similarities in such essential as philosophy, religion, politics, or societal structure to be function of language. In the regard, we would like to provide to this contention. Same language, same language, yet different worldview. Consider, for example, the United States, where we can find native speakers of the same English language who vary great in terms of their philosophical, religious, and political ideology. Different language, yet similar worldview. Christian doctrine, for example, is shared by speakers in various languages around the world. The same can be said for communist doctrine. In China, North Korea, Vietnam, and Cuba, communism is shared by speakers of widely different languages. Multilingual worldviews. If a person is multilingual, the theorists predict that such a person will have as many distinct worldviews as language systems. Thus, multilingual language, mind and brain will have to hold competing views as being true, which will surely confuse a person functioning. Erroneous belief underlying the four theories. What led the theorists was theories we have discounted to advocate the theories they did, discarding the anti-mentalism position of some of the behaviorist theorists who will treat through a same sort of speech or behavior. There are certain erroneous beliefs which might have been held by the other non-behaviorist theorists that led them to invalid conclusions. Erroneous belief 1. Their analysis of language is adequate. The most serious deficiency in the theorizing of Whorf, Sapir, Kozbevsky, Skinner, von Humboldt, and Yoder concerned the assumption that the directly observable words of the structure of a essence represent all of the semantic or truth element of that sentence. Erroneous belief 2. The meaning of the word is linguistic in origin. Except for the minor case of onomatopoeia, speech sound imitating environmental sound, the relationship between a word and its meaning is conventional. That is, there is no necessary relationship between the sound of word and its meaning. Erroneous belief 3. There are primitive language and primitive human intelligence. It appears to us that Sapir, Whorf, and the other assume that there was a such thing as primitive people and that those people had a primitive grammar. Since they suppose that the primitive grammar of these people reflect their tongue, they conclude that their talk was primitive too. The best theory, talk is in the independent of language. Thought is independent of language. The relationship between language and thought that will be proposed here as essentially the one that was advocated by the philosopher John Locke some 3 centuries ago. The development of thought precedes the development of language. As thought develops, the child seeks to express those thoughts to others. Through speech understanding, the child develops a grammar and finds a means through speech production to provide meaningful speech. The notion of thinking in language is fallacy. It is often observed that sound form of word come to one awareness while one is thinking. It is a mistake, however, to conclude from this that the sound form themselves are thought. Such word forms are merely reflection of some underlying ideas. John Locke said it best concerning the relation of language and thought. In our view, John Locke said it best. The comfort and advantage of society not being to head out without communication of thought, to it necessary that man should find out some external visible sign whereof those invisible ideas which his thoughts are made up of might be made known to others. And that's it, the presentation. Thank you for your appreciation. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.